question of the day. I'm Professor Q, so glad to be with you. So what is the question? Well, how many natural resources can you name? At this time, in your journal, please see if you can jot those down. Air. Isn't that wonderful? We can inhale and exhale. Well, what about water? Is that another resource? Absolutely. Look here. I happen to have a glass of water now. Boy, that looks awfully tantalizing. I think I'm going to take a little sip. Refreshing. Boy, that just absolutely reminds me as to where do we get our water from? You say the sink? Good point. Refrigerator? Absolutely. Anywhere else you can think of? I have a thought. What about go back 66 million years ago? Well, what, Professor Q, happened 66 million years ago? This did. What? You're right. In the Mesozoic time frame where the dinosaurs roamed, this water existed. Wait a minute, Professor Q, you mean I'm drinking dinosaur water? Yeah, you're right. I'm drinking dinosaur water, but how? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in this lesson, is regarding our natural resources and how we use them on a daily basis for our needs of survival. So, are you ready to get to it? So am I. Oh, great. So, let's talk about 3 terms then that helps to be under the category of natural resources. So, looking at renewable, non-renewable, and inexhaustible. So at this time, please go ahead and write each one of these terms in your journal, as we are going to break it down and identify what the meaning is of each word. Okay, so let's review, and I'd like for you to please get out a highlighter or your best doodle pen or pencil, because we are going to mark up these terms so that way we can, once again, break them down so we have a better understanding. Now, let's talk a little bit about English. Yes, what is a prefix and what is a suffix? Prefix comes before the main root word, and a suffix comes after. So, let's take a look at the word renewable, shall we? Well, what I'd like for you to please do is at this time, make a box around the letter R and E for renewable. Okay, so what do you think re means? Well, what words do we know re to be a part of that you've heard before? Repeat, redo, and other words such as that. So how then can we apply it to this particular word? Well, the prefix re means again. What does it mean? That's right, it means again. So I'd like for you to please write again. So we know something starts with again. Now let's go ahead and make another little doodle for our suffix. Please circle able. Now what do you think able is? Have you heard of the word able before? What about capable? Well, what does that mean? It means the ability to do so. Okay, so it means to do. As a way to think about it, not toto, but to do. Okay, you gotta have fun, right, with language? So, What is in the middle of this word? Well, the middle of this word is the word new. Well, what have we known about new? New means, think about getting a new present. You've never seen it before. It's just produced. So let's go ahead and write just produced. You'll have to excuse my grass cutter guys out there because they're doing something renewable out there too. All right. So, renewable. Well, let's take a look at our clue word, shall we? It means again, to do, and just produce. So, how can we come up with then a particular type of definition for renewable? Well, to maybe produce again. You got it, to produce again. So please go ahead and write that in your journal. To produce again equals renewable. Okay, so now that we're taking renewable, what information can we apply to this new word? Well, do we see something in common with this word non-renewable from what we've seen renewable? You're right, you're so smart. You can actually see the whole word renewable. So if we know renewable means to be able to make again or produce, then what does this word non mean right here? So please at this time, square in the word non. Well, I love this word and the fact that it kind of gives you a hint actually in the word. Because you see, what does this word say? No, that's right. So that means non means not. So then we could put those two together and say renewable means to be able to produce again, but its prefix says not. So therefore we would say not to be able to be produced again. Well, you're coming along just fine. Now we have our last term that we need to really understand. How many of you have ever heard of inexhaustible? Inexhaustible, boy, that's a really strange term. Don't you think so? But let's go ahead and use our strategy, shall we? So at this time, please box in the word in. And let's go ahead and circle I-B-L-E, Ibble. Ibble kind of sounds like able, Ibble, able, able, Ibble. That's kind of fun. Now, let's have a conversation. Well, what is in between the prefix and the suffix? Exhaust. Oh, phew. This is exhausting. Exactly. So what does exhaust mean? Well, that's a good point. Have you ever heard of, you're just exhausting me out, or I'm just completely exhausted? Or you may have heard the car exhaust. For this purpose, exhaust means to run out. What does that mean? To run out. And I don't mean to run out of the building, but to run out completely, that we don't have it anymore. So then let's come back to our prefix. So this word in, does anyone know what that means in a prefix? You're right. Can you believe that it also means not? It means not. Okay. Now, able, what does able mean? Able means the same as able. So we talked about able means to do. So then this could be to do. Not to do, but to do. So otherwise, not able to run out. Inexhaustible means a natural resource that never runs out. Wow. So we have three main categories. Now my challenge to you is, well, which do you think this wonderful glass of water would be under for a category? How did we get this water from 66 million years ago? to be purified and refreshed and clean. At this point, I want you to think about how and where and why this could be under either renewable, non-renewable, or inexhaustible. Go ahead and think about that for a moment. Great! Now what I'd like for you to do is tell me, where do you think this particular glass of water should be located? Did you say renewable, non-renewable, inexhaustible? We'll soon find out. So I'd like for you to please go ahead and copy this chart in your journal because I'm about to challenge your wit. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? Hello, special guest appearance. This is Buttons. Well, she and I were out there trying to be able to go ahead and garden. As you see, this beautiful plant here. Well, my question is, well, what type of category would we find this plant? I don't know, that's a good question, Buttons. Well, let's see here. Well, renewable means to be able to produce again. And the catch here is that it is in a lifetime, of course, and it's a short amount of time that it can be produced again. Where non-renewable means only in a short amount of time, it cannot. In a short amount of time, it cannot. Let me repeat. See, got the re in there. Repeat. It cannot be replaced in a short amount of time. Normally that short amount of time is a human's lifetime, about 100 years or a century or so. And then inexhaustible means it can never be used up. It just keeps going and going and going. Well, let's talk about this plant. This plant here, which category do you think it should be located in? Please write that right now in your chart. If you said that the plant, well, here as a farmer sows the crops and reaps the crops, if you said it was renewable, you were absolutely correct. And, well, let's go ahead and add a little title to that too. Now, why is a crop renewable? How many crops can be renewed, produced again? Well, farmers are very important people. Did you know that? Agriculturalists and scientists all get together to ensure that what they actually plant ends up on your dinner table. So give a big shout out to all of those FFA and agriculturalists because they are very important people for the whole world. They work very hard. And so, but they're able to help renew those particular crops. Have you ever planted something before? Think about that. Absolutely. So let's go on to another one. Well, I'm holding a shovel here. Well, what do I usually shovel? Well, I shovel soil, right? Well, let me ask you that question. Where do you think soil would be located on this table? Go ahead and jot that down. Well, I heard renewable. Well, but then I heard someone say, well, wait a minute. No, that's not renewable. But then I'm hearing someone say, well, but soil just never seems to run out. It just keeps coming and coming and coming up over. Well, so then what category should this be in? Well, that's a good question, you say, because can soil renew itself? You'd think it would take a really long time to do that. However, do you know that the topsoil of the Earth's surface could actually renew itself in 18 months approximately? Whoa! That's a lot of trivia question to me. That's right. So if soil can renew itself in a short amount of time, then I think we should go ahead and place it right in the renewable section. Would you agree? Doing good so far? Okay. So now let's also talk about a little of sun. Is the sun going to be renewable, non-renewable, or are inexhaustible. Write that down in your table. The sun. Well, what's going to happen if the sun runs out? What's going to happen to the humanity? Well, we're going to run out too. So, fortunately though, if you said that the sun never runs out, well, at least in our lifetime, but also for us, if we say, I know scientists will try to say, well, the sun is going to run out in such and such amount of time. But those are many, many years ahead of us. But to our purpose at this point, we're going to say the sun is inexhaustible, which means we can always depend on it, right? Alrighty then. So, let's talk a little bit about, fossils. I mentioned about dinosaurs 66 plus million years ago. So, where did they all go? And how do you know that they were really real? It's the fossils that you might trip on sometimes. And, well, because they're actually fossils, their bones are covered up over time and smash, smash. With hot heat and pressure, we're able to obtain some resources from it that we call natural resources. Now, how many of you have parents or you yourself actually go out and got fill her up in the vehicle? Well, what do we fill her up with, that car? We fill her up with oil. Do you know what is another term for oil? Did you say petroleum? Boy, you sure are smart. That's right. Petroleum, oil. Petroleum is a little bit more of the crude oil, and oil is more refined after being manufactured just a tad. So, where do you think oil would fit in which one of these categories? Oh, all right. Well, oil. Can we renew oil? Well, what do we have to do to dig the oil? We have to drill down way in the ground to be able to hit pockets of a liquid form. And that's called petroleum. So what does that mean? Well, yeah, we have, especially here in Texas, we all know about drilling for oil, don't we? Because we got them oil rigs, right? So we have oil and oil rigs. Where's this going to go? Well, it's going to go, I think I heard you say, non-renewable. That's right. That's going to be non-renewable. So, but why did I bring up dinosaurs? Because if you think about it, petroleum is actually one of those natural resources that are created, don't you dare say, I will, by fossils. Oh, isn't that exciting? Oh my goodness. Is that the only thing that's produced by fossils? Let's find out as we go along. Okay, so let's have another chicken. Wow, we got some chicken here, so let me ask you this. Which one came first, the egg or the chicken? Oh, well, that's a whole nother type of debate altogether that we don't have time for. But is this chicken going to be inexhaustible? It never runs out? Non-renewable? It will run out. Or renewable? We'll get to have another little chickens again. Well, if you said renewable, you are super duper right on that one. Absolutely. And another name for chicken is poultry. Poultry, you got it. Okay, we're doing great, but let's keep going, let's keep moving. So I have oil, right? Petroleum. Now let me ask you this question. At the beginning of this video, I said, inhale, exhale. We are inhaling air. So, air. What's in air? The sun, the stars, airplanes. What about air? Is air renewable, non-renewable, or inexhaustible? That could be quite a controversial conversation. But for our purposes, does air ever run out? No, it has not run out. It may get polluted, and who pollutes it? Well, we'll talk about that later on. But it can get polluted, and so with air being polluted, though, it can be refreshed to a certain degree. So some of you may have thought, well, it should be in the renewable category because we use air filters in our houses to be able to refresh our air. However, that is a refreshing of air, but not all air needs to be refreshed to some degree. So the overarching idea is that air is going to be over here and inexhaustible. So let's talk a little bit about oil. And maybe some of you have this in your houses. You may have an electric stove, but some of you may actually have one of those that goes click, 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 where you got some fire, a gas stove. And that's important. So where do you think this natural gas comes from? Well, it's actually going to be right over here, natural gas, because natural gas is also formed by fossils. Can you believe that? I'm just amazed. Okay, so next, I'm going to challenge you. Are you ready? Where do you think a tree comes from? Write that down. A tree. Where do you think wind comes from? Write that down. And where do you think girls' best friends' diamonds come from? Figure that out, and I'll see you in a couple. All right, did you figure it out? Well, if you said that trees should be renewable, diamonds' girl's best friend should be non-renewable, and that the wind is inexhaustible, you are super duper right. I got another challenge. Are you ready to go? Okay, coal. Now, where do we find coal and where do we use it for? Well, some of us might use a little bit of coals for when we're barbecuing out here in Texas, right? Absolutely. Okay, and what about moo cows? And last but not least here, what about the gold? So where would you find the coal, the cows, and the gold? That's your challenge. Go ahead and determine which category it should be. All right, are you ready to check your answers? I bet you got them right. So if you said that the cattle were part of the renewable, bingo! And if you said both the coal and the gold were under the non-renewable category, you're super duper on it. Good point. So now my next question here is this. We can't live without minerals. Minerals are found in the ground, right? Absolutely. So my question to you is, well, we have copper and we have silver. Go ahead and write down copper and silver, please. We have ocean tides. And last but not least, our handy dandy glass of water. Where do you think they're going to be located? Because as you see, we have some extras in each category. Think, think, think. We'll see you soon. All right, so let's take a look at your final answers and to see how well you determined which natural resource category those items were located in. So the silver, the minerals, you're right, non-renewable, and ocean tides. Well, why, Professor Q, is ocean tides in that inexhaustible location? Because they never run out. Because you're always running after them, aren't you? And what about this that I started out with? Well, my nice handy dandy 66 million old glass of water ends up to be in the renewable category. But I don't want to leave just quite yet. I have one more thing to say. I asked you about the fossils. And so we talked about fossils can actually produce the oil due to the heat pressure of the earth on top of them over hundreds of years. Natural gas can happen the same way. And my oh my, you have a solid, a liquid, and a gas. Those are the states of matter. Well, what's a solid, Professor Q? It's the coal. So fossils can produce coal, natural gas, and oil, depending on how long they have been under the pressure of Earth. Now, the real question is, well, what type of rock do you mainly find fossils in? Well, it's sedimentary rock. And so I have a little ditty, if you like to say. Coal, petroleum, natural gas, oh my, yeah. Coal, petroleum, natural gas, oh my, yeah. I know it kind of gets catchy. Say, coal, petroleum, natural gas, oh my. See, that's my sedimentary rock song. Okay, and so what are they? They are all non-renewable. So now you are all experts in the field of natural resources, and I challenge you, when you go outside, take a look to see what type of natural resources are out there and which category they may be in. So remember, be strong and good, better, best. Never let it rest till the good gets better and the better gets best. And if you'd like to see more Professor Q, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the post notification bell. See you soon.